Alright, on stroker applications, where the wrist pin is moved up into the piston, where the actual ring grooves are, your piston is going to come with a spacer ring. This is to space and support the O-rings where the actual wrist pin is placed. There's a little tiny dot on this thing. I don't know if you can see it right there. That dot is pressed in, so it's raised up on the back. You want to make sure that raised up spot ends up here to keep this thing from spinning. So the dot's only going to hit here, and it won't let that ring spin anymore. So when you put that on there, you want to make sure that that dot's in the right spot. And I usually face my dot down. That's the way you're supposed to do it, so it doesn't interfere with the ring above it. And it also lands on those two little pitch spots and keeps it from spinning. So put that on first. Alright, then you're going to slide that piece around until you get it where that, so that little bump is right there. You want that to be there. Then you're going to push these down, push this way down to make sure it's nice and snug on the bottom. Then you take your oil ring. Make sure that you don't end up in the groove where that's put together with this, because these two corners can catch and raise each other up. So I always put mine on the other side and set them like that. Then you're going to take one of these guys, put him on the bottom. There's a lot of guys that will not even touch a piston ring until they've got a tool to spiral the piston ring with, or if they've got a ring compressor, you know, to get the ring on right. But in all honesty, man, just putting a ring on is not that big of a deal. I mean, you really got to contort them hard to mess them up or bend them. It's not rocket science. Anybody that's ever put a motor together knows that. You just want to make sure that that ring is on top of that, so that it's not interfering with it or causing it to bunch up or bind. Find you another good clean spot. Put your second ring on for your oil ring. Oil ring is going to be 3 pieces. Those of you that hadn't done this before. And on a racing piston, you're going to have a 3/16, 1/16, 1/16. That's the ring set you'll have. Most performance pistons are. These KBs are like that. Most of them are. Then you're going to go to your second ring. You look at the ring itself. It's got a little circle dot on it. Always face that up so it is to the top of the piston. Let's make sure we got us a good little spot to land on where we don't got no other rings. Actually, first, a good thing to do doing rings like this is to take a small piece of sandpaper, especially if you've filed the ends of your rings. You want to take a real fine sandpaper and just kind of knock the little burr off of it. They make a tool for this, you know, a little deburring tool, but I mean, really, Ace Hardware, piece of sandpaper or whatever. But this does the same thing. And make sure you don't got no rough edges on it, going to catch anything, keep that ring from sitting all right. Double check your dot again, make sure it's at the top. Back on a good clean spot. Start him on just like we did the others. Got that one on there. Now you're going to move to the other side. Just to stagger the joints. You don't want them like right on top of each other. There ain't really no science to this as far as I'm concerned. You just do it. Look for your dot. Make sure it's on the top. Yep. Check it for the deburr again. Alright, now you got all those in, that's good set up there ready to go. Now what we're going to do is, and that job it there in. This little guy right here. Some people dry fit their rings in blocks. They don't put oil on them when they put them in. I mean, if it gets oil on it in the process of running in an engine, when it gets put together, it should have oil on it. That's just my personal preference. A lot of people disagree, you know, but it is what it is. Double check, make sure you didn't slide your rings out of place real bad or nothing. Take this jobber right here, slipping motor. This ring compressor right here. Give it a few turns, kind of straighten it up, make sure you're sitting on there right. Leave yourself enough room at the bottom so that this can fit in the piston or in the cylinder and line you up. If not, it'd be really hard to get it in there. Keep a check on it, kind of move it around a little bit, make sure everything's okay, make sure you don't got no rings binding. Try to keep it centered. And snug her on down. Alright, see how I left some sticking out on both sides? That's going to allow me to take this rod, slide it down in here like this. See how it's going to actually slip in and hold it. Okay? So I give you a second to get your stuff together. A wooden hammer with a rubber, or a wooden handle hammer or a rubber will work pretty good. This one's rubber, just so you don't be putting any extra force or nothing with metal against, you know, your aluminum. Then you're gonna take the rubber butt, hold on to your piece tight, give it a few bumps and knocks, and she'll pop right in. All right, you set that aside. Flip her over. And then, now that's up. Get your other bearing out for your rod. Bring that hammer back in. Kind of hold your rod up. Get yourself up a little bit further. Just so you can bring that rod out to where you can get to it. Okay? Now that that's out, make sure there ain't nothing in there, you know, just kind of give her a little wipe. If you can, kind of put a little straightening on these things, get them lined up a little bit better. Okay, I usually wipe my bearings out too. They come in the pack pretty clean, but I like to wipe them just to make sure there's nothing in them. Set that jobby down in there just like so. Little assembly lube on there. This is real good to use. You can do this with oil if you plan on cranking the engine soon. If you're gonna let it sit for a while, you need to do it with a really thick lube so that it doesn't drip off when you got your motor sitting in storage or however long it takes you to run it. Kind of hold it back up with your hand and just give it little bumps. Get it pretty close and then start going smoother. And eventually it'll start to line itself up and straighten out. And then that's all the way to the bottom. Now, you want to take another bearing. Just double check it, just to make sure. Double check the cap. Make sure there's nothing going on with it.
Body's been kissed by the sun, and
Get your lube in there real nice, covered. Now these are scat rods. On these particular rods, you know, the large side's easy to see, but let's just say you didn't see that, you wanted something else. When they make theirs, they stamp the numbers on the same side. So you can just match the numbers on the cap and the rod, and they'll be in the right place. It's a good thing on those. Just give her a little tap, try to get her down. Don't try to do it with the bolts or anything like that, because those things have sleeves in them. And if it doesn't go down right the first time, you get one of those sleeves, then it really won't go together. Something with a little bit of weight, a good plastic piece. Don't worry about messing it up, but you don't want to hit this thing hard with nothing crazy. Hammer, nothing like that. Once that's done, these ARP bolts, these things, these scat rods come with, you gotta take you a little bit of their assembly, their fastener lube, and you want to put some on the threads and give them a good little turn in, make sure it's in the thread. And then you want to put a little dab on the bottom side of the head of the washer, or the screw, or the nut. Just kind of give it a little twirl around. Make sure that the whole underside of the washer, the nut, or the bolt is covered. And when you slip down in there, the threads are going to be covered, and the back of the bolt. And that helps for torquing, and make sure you get the right torque number and not prematurely torque it too much. This lube slips it and makes the torque right. It's a must-have when you use the ARP stuff. They actually require you use it, so if you don't got any and you got these, you got ARP stuff, just go ahead and order it, get it from somewhere. If they sell it at your local parts store, or if not, mail order, it's the best way to go as far as I'm concerned. Those guys in there like that. And what you do is just run your bolts down. Give it a little pull till you kind of feel it snug up, and then leave it until you get, see, we're almost down to the last one, but leave them all untorqued until you get them all in, so it's not a trouble, you don't have so much trouble turning the motor and stuff until it's all said and done.